Howdy, Halo fans. Welcome to another episode of the Heady Halo Hot Take Hoedown. With me, as always, Fernando, the Lonestar Halo himself. I am Vince, the Angels Cowboy. Today's episode, we are going to talk about a certain player who we mentioned not long ago. Now, the biggest question is he now the face of the Angel franchise? We'll get to that right after this.
Texas plains, hot takes flying, riding off the reins. Lonestar, Halo, Cowboy Vince, calling it bold, never on the fence. Hold down time, turn it up loud. Hot takes are ringing, drawing a crowd. No matter how wild, no matter how strange, ain't no limit on the takes we say.
Howdy, and welcome to the Halo Hot Take Hoedown, the hottest hot take show on this side of the Mississippi. My name, Fernando, the Lone Star Halo. Here, we got Cowboy Vince. You know him, you love him. Change the hat. Yeah, from the last episode.
Because it's getting warmer. Summer is officially started as of this past week, so yeah.
Yeah, from what I've heard, it's been like in the 90s for you guys, huh?
It's kicking up, yeah. So everybody's getting into their pools, going to the beach. Everyone's heading over there. So, yeah, it's my favorite time of the year because, I remember back in the day when school was out, but also it's beach season and pool season. And not only that, more baseball because basketball and hockey are about to end and there's no football going on. We can only focus on one sport from here on out.
The best sport in the world.
That's right.
Are you a pool guy or are you a beach guy? You have to pick. You're probably like, I like both. Yeah, that's how most SoCal people are.
I do like both, but when it comes to the beach, the sand, when your feet are wet, that's the only thing that annoys me. And on top of that, when you get in your car and you have to clean all that out, But guess what? That's why you get WeatherTech liners and also Husky liners. I have Huskies in my Jeep, so I can get away with it after the beach. I can just hose it down and take it out. So
I hate the beach just for that reason, for the sand. If sand didn't exist, beach would be no problem. I got no problem with the water, going in the water, great. But and even the sand, while I'm at the beach, it's fine. But yeah, when you get out, you can't take it off, and everyone's like, well, Fernando, Lone Star, just go in the shower there at the beach and get it off. Oh yeah, but what about the sand that's in the shower, guys?
Yep.
Those outdoor showers have sand on the ground. It never ends. It never ends, Vince.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's a really great point. I got to tip you out to that for sure.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, welcome everyone to the show. Vince, you want to kick it off for us this week?
Of course. So first of all, we like to thank our sponsors, 714 Tickets, 714 Tickets, the best deals for Angel games and beyond. Yes, you can also get it for concerts, football games, hockey games, and basketball games. So many things Fernando and I know from experience. And don't forget to use our code HITI where you get 10% off your purchase. And you can use it whenever you want. It is not a one-time thing. Keep on using it. I've used it and I still will. And I can't wait to use it again. Also, Brewheim Brewery. Drink local, cheer louder. And if you go to Brewheim, mention Halos in the Infield for some drink specials. And finally, the OC Dugout, your home for premium sports memorabilia. And don't forget, I like to throw it out there. Speaking of OC Dugout, June 21st, if you have time, if you can make room for in your schedule, Logan O'Hoppe autograph signing. I'll mention it for the next few weeks. I will most likely be there, so I hope to see you all there. It is going to be a really fun day seeing a happy face and a happy smile by a man named Logan O'Hoppe.
Yeah, I've gotten to meet Logan O'Hoppe. Cool dude, got his autograph. Neto's obviously been on the podcast before, and I know he had the signing. You got to meet Mr. Neto. You asked him about the bull. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Dang it. Watch Vince's video if you want to see what his response was. Always stay plugging.
Yes, exactly.
But Before we get into the hot take, if you don't already know what that is, well, you could have followed us at Halos in the Infield. And while you're at it, make sure you follow Vince at Angels_Cowboy. But yes, follow us. We post the hot take once a week. It used to be every Monday. Now it's kind of been changing depending on the off day. But it does get posted every single week. You guys respond to it. We do read the comments. I promise you guys. Same with the question of the day. So if you want to get in on the Angels questions of the day, follow us at Halos in the Infield. But before we get into that, I want to talk a little bit about last week's hot take, not to reopen that wound, but Matthew Lugo has been sent down back to AAA Salt Lake. We knew it was a possibility. Now, we both agreed, like, hey, let's give this guy at bats. Let's give him the keys to the kingdom. And the biggest reason for that was at that time, well, we didn't have Chris Taylor. So we didn't really have a legitimate center fielder yet. Kyron Paris has also been called down for anyone who's screaming at the top of their lungs in their car. Hey, don't forget about Kyron Paris. He has also been sent down. So right now, the Angels' outfield options are slim pickings. Trout is expected, when you guys are listening to this today, so if all goes well, he should be activated today on the 30th, if all goes well. So I bet Angels Nation's excited for that. But Matthew Lugo, Vince, how are you feeling about him getting called down?
Well, let me tell you this. Last week we mentioned about the peaks and valleys. He hit his valley early. And like I said, I'll recap from what I said last week. Every player does go through peaks and valleys in their career, or not just career, but season in general, especially as a rookie. So he hit his peak. He did hit that. He did hit the top of the mountain at one point. However, he hit a huge valley and it dropped off dramatically. It wasn't just like he was slowly getting down and then maybe he would make his way back up. It just hit close to rock bottom where the Angels had no choice but to send him down so he can get some work in and get that feel back in and find his swing, find his stroke, pick up his timing, because everyone goes through that whenever you get called up, because you get the excited jitters and like everything. You're still swinging the bat hot because you're thinking, well, I can still use what I did in AAA or AA and then transfer into the majors. It works for some guys. It doesn't work for some guys. Now he just happened to be hot at the right time, but now he's facing tougher pitching and he's facing more competitive pitches. He's facing a little bit faster fastballs, more breaks on the curveballs, more slides on the sliders, more sweeps on the sweepers. And you know what? Like I said, everyone goes through it. So we're at the point where he has to just, just tinker a little bit and just get back to work, because it is a learning sport. Baseball is, but at the same time, like, you do have to be major league ready when you get called up. You can't be a learning guy. And this is a reference to a couple weeks ago. I think, actually it was last week. I'm surprised I didn't mention it last week, and but I'll bring it now. I got an opportunity to do a Zoom interview with a group of people with Top Fan Rivalry with Doug DeCences, a former Angel great, and he was just telling stories, and we asked a few questions to him. I actually asked about what happened during the 3 homer games that he had in the span of a week in 5 days. And he just said, like, oh, well, I was just seeing the ball pretty good. And basically, and I didn't tinker anything. I just knew what was coming. But the one thing that DeCences mentioned is about Ron Washington was he keeps saying the same thing. These kids are young. These kids are learning. Doug DeCences hates that phrase because, I don't want to say hate's a strong word, but dislikes that phrase because he said back in my day when you got called up, you weren't learning in the big leagues. You were a big league player. You were a big league pitcher. You were already at that point. Unfortunately, now that I've heard Doug DeCences say that, now I get part of the Angel struggles because we're calling up kids who are still learning the game of baseball, where they should be already 100% knowledgeable and ready to go. So was Matthew Lugo ready at that point? He was at that point. However, once the struggles came, that's when the learning part started coming in, learning about how to adjust to a fastball, how to adjust to a curveball, how to adjust a sweeper, just anything, especially sweepers, because now the sweeper is taking the league by storm. Not a lot of pitchers are throwing curveballs. Not a lot of pitchers are throwing sliders because that sweeper just takes away every single at-bat from any player that's coming up.
Okay, but see, here's the thing. Okay, are players actually learning at the big league level, Vince, or is this just a different way, a way to rephrase people saying, well, they're refining their game at the major level? Because here's the thing, right? A major leaguer should never stop learning how to be a major leaguer, right? Because how you face pitching today is different than how you should face pitching tomorrow, right? Because that's growth. Here, I subscribe to this. Let's take a step away from baseball real quick. If you wake up today the same person you are yesterday and the day before that, like if you're not waking up to try to be better, why are you waking up at all, right? You know, when you're a kid growing up and you're forced to go to school, the thought process is that you're going to learn more today than you knew yesterday, right? When you go to work, the thought process is that you're going to get farther in your job, career today than you were yesterday. Why is it any different at the major level? So I understand what you're saying, and I agree with that, but it's a little different. Because where the Angels are right now, these guys are learning at the major level. Because Nolan Shanuel got almost zero time in the minors. You know, he got like 20-something games. Ryan Johnson literally got 0 games in the minors when he started the year off at the big league club post-spring training. So all this to say, Neto got almost no time in the minors. Logan O'Hoppe did. He was, you know, in the minor league organization with why am I blanking? The Phillies for a while, and obviously he was even here at Rocket City for a bit. So all that to say, there are a lot of guys currently on this Angels roster who we as fans are expecting to be pivotal pieces of this puzzle to, you know, to figure it out at the major league level. And is that fair? Look at Trout when he got called up in 2011. He was terrible. If anyone remembers Trout's true rookie month in 2011, in that September, he's bad. He's bad like 160 something if memory serves correctly.
Yeah, it makes sense, but I think also too, yeah, you are learning. I mean, it is a learning sport. But I think it was just different back in the day when Doug DeCinces was playing, because it was, you got to remember, back in their days, there was like, what, 2 minor league teams, if anything. It's not like today where we have like 4 or 5. And then also, you also don't have just the minor league team to depend on. Independent teams are also involved too. You have those independent leagues to shout them out. You have
the Pioneer League, you got the Savannah Bananas, you know, and the league they're starting. You know what I mean? There's everything under the sun these days.
Yeah, so you have Pioneer League, you have American Association, you have Atlantic, you have USPBL, and then you have Frontier. They're all major league partner leagues, not affiliated, but partner leagues, which means that the major leagues can pick up players from those leagues, and they do. They find that needle in a haystack. They find that diamond in a field of rhinestones, and so you do see. So there's a lot more to look at, and at least in today, so you really do can help. You really can look for guys that are learning the game, or that's what you see a lot. Whereas back in the 80s and the 70s. It was like when you got drafted, they knew like you were baseball smart. They knew you were baseball ready, or you went through the spring training and the minor leagues to build up to where you are in the major leagues. And look at Doug DeCinces, for example. I mean, like I said, I did talk to him last week, so I'm going to mention him a lot. But he took over for Brooks Robinson. How many people in this world can say, yeah, I replaced Brooks Robinson? Only one man can do that, and it's Doug DeCinces. And yeah, there's a lot of pressure. He said, yeah, there was so much pressure. He went through the heckling and like, you don't belong on this field. This is Brooks's position. All that stuff. But you know what? He didn't care. Yeah, it got to him a little bit, but he said, you know what? I'm just here to have fun. Look, I played this game ever since I played T-ball. And the reason why I played it is because it's fun. I'm just here to have fun. It's not about business. It's not about how much I'm getting paid. It's not this. It's not that. I just want to play ball. And if Brooks is going to help me be a better player, then so be it. I am ready for it. And look what happened. He had a phenomenal career. I mean, of course, it wasn't Hall of Fame worthy, but he did have an effective years. He won a batting title at one point, or he was a Silver Slugger at his respective position. He was an All-Star with the Angels in '83, and he came close to a trip to the World Series in '86. He was part of that '86 team that was one strike away to Fantasyland, basically, as as Al Michaels put it. But you're right, Fernando. It is a different age, and there's a lot of learning. And I think the reason why there's a lot of learning is because it's more advanced. Baseball's more advanced. You're playing against 30 teams compared to, you have 30 teams in the league compared to back in the day when it was 26, 28 teams. That's one thing. And also, too, there's more players. There's you're facing different pitching every day because there's a lot of injuries that happen. So then there's up-and-coming players that come in, and they're better than the guy who just got hurt, basically. They have a faster fastball. They have this. They have that. So you have to make that adjustments. It's another reason why we're not going to see a 56-game hitting streak anymore, because of how much pitchers you see on a nightly basis. It's probably why we're not going to see 400 again, because of how many different pitchers you see. So yeah, it is tough to adjust to this game, and that's why there is that saying, baseball is a learning sport. Times have changed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, I mean, we'll see Matthew Lugo again, of course. I mean, he is going to be back on the Major League roster. I do think him and Nelson Rada have legitimate opportunity ahead of them to be the future faces of this franchise, or to be part of the future pieces of this franchise. Sorry, not the faces. I was getting ahead of myself. But that does take us to this week's hot take. Vince, do you have it in front of you?
Of course. And the hot take of the week is Zach Neto is the face of the Angels as of now. I agree 100% because, number one, when it comes to face of the franchise, there's the argument of the veterans. Right now, it's the argument Mike Trout's still the face of the franchise. But you got to remember, those veterans, they do fall off. They they retire sometimes unexpectedly, or they do play till they're 40, and then they say, okay, it's officially done for me. But also, too, the younger players, you need to look at the future. Okay, so in the present, I mean, the past/present, yeah, you could say Mike Trout, but who is the franchise starting now? Right now, it's Zach Neto. The argument is also Logan O'Hoppe, too. I mean, you could have co-faces. There's no such thing as it, but it could change. There are a lot of teams who do have the duos of the franchise. I mean, the Yankees probably were the closest to that. It was Jeter and Mariano Rivera, because they were together for literally from the beginning of their career to the end of their career. Only difference was Jeter played one more season after Mariano. So it could happen with these two, with Neto and O'Hoppe, but today's topic is just one guy. And it's Zach Neto, because he has shown that he is Mr. Everything right now. His defense, he's showing defense that shortstop is his position. In the leadoff spot, he is showing that he is a leadoff hitter. And also, too, he's putting runs, and he's setting up runs for us too, which is something that Mike Trout did back in 2012. Mike Trout was a leadoff hitter. He was basically getting on base. He was doing everything and taking the league by storm, and then basically became the face of Major League Baseball the year after almost. So I would agree that Zach Neto is our guy right now, because Trout's fallen off. I mean, he's injured again. And if he comes back and he is the Mike Trout that we all know, then great. It's a little bit of a boost. But right now, it's like he's now officially the veteran, even though he has been the veteran for the past few years. But now it's like kind of like he's at the David Wright point of his career, where when David Wright was with the Mets, he wasn't the face at the time. It turned into Jacob deGrom back in 2014, 2015. And then, unfortunately, David Wright retired a year later after that World Series run. Fingers crossed it does not happen to Trout. We hope that he can stay healthy for the rest of this season at least, and possibly the next few years, because he has that big contract that's going to end in 2038, or is it 2032? I'm sorry, I think it is. Correct me if I'm wrong there. 2030. We're close to that, but we just need the hope for him. But at this point, it's time to start buying Zach Neto jerseys, and it's time for this new generation of kids to start rooting for a guy like Zach Neto. And now he's getting the praise from guys like Mark DeRosa, which might help out a bit, because if Mark DeRosa is still the manager of the USA team, hey, he might have to say, hey, Neto, I need a shortstop. Get over here.
So Mike Trout is a free agent after the 2030 season. So that'll be his age 38 season. So honestly, at this point, it's hard to imagine Trout, if he makes it to the end of this contract without retiring, it's hard to see him playing past that stage. There was a while where I thought to myself, like, hey, maybe he can sign like a 2-year contract and retire as an Angel. It's been really tough the last couple of years to watch Mike Trout play baseball. He has not been healthy since 2019 was his last full healthy season, because we don't count 2020. I know 2020 he played almost the full season, but I mean 60 games doesn't count. So with that being said, Mike Trout is no longer the face of the Angels franchise. I love Mike Trout, much like a lot of you guys who are going to be listening to this. Mike Trout was, one of the biggest reasons why I continue to watch the Angels, before Neto and Ohapi came around. There was some dark periods there, right? Obviously we got number 17 and he has since left. But, Trout kept those times good, in 15, 16, 17, gave us something to watch. And obviously watching Pujols at the end of his career, I know I am in the minority when I think of Pujols' time fondly. No, we didn't have any championships. Could he have been better? Of course. But, growing up, Pujols was like my Superman. You know what I mean? When I was a kid, growing up in San Diego, every time Pujols would come to town, my dad would want to go to those games. So I have more of a nostalgic view than most people would. But, a lot of kids grew up with Trout being that guy for them, right? So those days have passed us by, unfortunately. Now Trout is, I believe, 32, 33. So with that being said, it's hard to imagine him having any more fully healthy seasons. I was hoping that this year was going to be the year. He lost some of that weight going into this season. A lot of it has to do with the way he takes care of his body during the off season. I won't share too much, but I mean, I know very well his off season routine. It isn't what a lot of people think it is. His pregame routine isn't what a lot of people think it is. So with that being said, eventually that stuff catches up to you, right? If you're going to be in the clubhouse playing Fortnite before the games, that's fine, bro. Make sure you stretch. You know what I mean? Because that stuff does catch up to you eventually. I'm not saying that's what it is. And I'm not blaming Mike Trout for him not taking care of his body. There's just some stuff he can't control, unfortunately. But at some point, you have to be realistic on what your future in baseball is. I'm not calling for Mike Trout's retirement. I am calling for Anthony Rendon's retirement. We've all been doing that. But the difference is, like, Rendon has almost like a losing mentality in the sense of he gets hurt and it's almost like a joke. Trout gets hurt. You can see the emotion on his face. So I know the guy wants to be out there. That is not what I'm saying at all. We all know that Trout cares about this game, cares about this franchise, right? So many people discount Trout desire to want to stay in Anaheim. That's like the most frustrating thing, man. And I'm Vincent, I'm sure you feel this way as an Angels fan too. Nothing's more frustrating when it's just like, oh, well, Trout's wasting his career in Anaheim. Okay, well, also, Trout made the conscious decision to waste his career in Anaheim, right? Nobody held a gun to his head, at least not that we know of. Artie might have, and said, "Bro, you're staying in Anaheim." The guy got offered the bag, right? He chased the bag. Artie gave him the bag for better or worse, and he made the conscious decision that, hey, I love this team. I love this organization. I love these fans. And you know what? Trout kind of has the best of both worlds, right? He likes the winter, so he goes back to New Jersey for the winter. And I don't know about you guys. Anyone who's been in New Jersey, I would much rather deal with Anaheim summers than those East Coast summers because those are disgusting and humid and sticky. So he doesn't really have to deal with that because in Southern California, you have what? Like a week of humidity compared to months of humidity. So now I'm just going on a tangent, Vince. But all this to say, the days of Trout being the franchise face are over. I think Zach Neto is that guy. Think about it. He came back middle of April in that Giants series. And the team still continued to lose a bit when he was around. But there was that stretch of like a week where Zach Neto was the only offense.
Yeah, 100%. And that's something that the Angels needed because Zach Neto is a valuable piece of the lineup because of the energy that he brings. And he's a guy who we've said it in the last episode we talked about him was he's a runner. He has a strong arm. He has great range as a shortstop.
I mean, he's almost a 5-tool guy.
I think he is a 5-tool guy. And I could also say he's a 6-tool guy, and the 6th tool is basically he can bunt. And but we don't see it a lot. I mean, I think there should be a 6-tool player. I know they do exist out there. We just don't talk about it. But it's guys who can bunt, drag bunt, and stuff like that.
I mean, technically, number 17 is probably a 6-tool player.
Oh, because
he pitches.
Yeah, I mean that's probably the argument that people say. So yeah, but other than that, Zach Neto can do almost a lot of things that a 5-tool player can do, or he does do 5-tool player stuff, and you need more of that. And we finally got it. Trout was that guy back in 2012 when he came in as a rookie, and Zach Neto also brings the energy too, where he's young, so he's with that generation of have fun. He doesn't showboat a lot, obviously. Like he doesn't bat flip a lot. But there was times where it's still my favorite when he hit the home run off Skubal and he admired it. And I mean, why not? You hit a home run off Tarek Skubal. Like you got to enjoy a little bit of it. But
absolutely, I mean, Tarek Skubal is arguably the best pitcher in baseball right now.
Yeah, exactly. And so to see that is like, okay, yeah, you got him. Unfortunately, we got our butts kicked that game, so it kind of looked kind of stupid that he did that, but it was the first inning. So there's a lot of baseball left. So, I've noticed that the Angels have fed off the energy from Zach Neto, and that's what we need. Now, unfortunately, another guy who also brings the same energy as him, Kyron Paris, who got sent down, but he still has things to figure out. So I can just imagine those two on the same team. They will bring some energy. And I think one more kid who could get called up in the next few months, Christian Moore, could also do the same thing because Christian Moore is just as energetic as those two combined. So that is something that you need in the clubhouse. And Zach Neto brings that. And which is another reason, another big key on why I also believe he is the face, because the other guy who is the argument for face of the franchise is, of course, Logan O'Hoppe. But when have you seen Logan O'Hoppe be energetic in a game? Not often. I mean, maybe the time where he hit the walk-off, that was it. But you really didn't see much energy because there was confusion going on. Was the home run robbed? Was it an actual home run?
What about the last year of the home opener when he hit that big home run at the end of the game there? Well,
yeah, it did bring some energy, but he kind of did like he did like the Jeter-esque celebration where just throw the fist pump and kind of things like that. But I think it makes sense because he figured, hey, look, I just tied the game. I didn't take the lead. I didn't walk it off. I just tied it. We still have to win this game. And then we lost the home opener. Yeah. Zach Neto, on the other hand, is like he ties the game or takes the lead. He like kicks it up and like, let's keep it going kind of thing. And that's what you need in a team. I mean, I know the whole like old school baseball unwritten rules versus the let the kids play and have fun with a little fire. There's a big debate on that. That's another topic. But at the same time, like the way that I see it is you do want to keep your cool just a little bit because there's a lot of baseball left, and the baseball gods sometimes do punish you for showboating a little bit. But at the same time, you have to spark up some energy for the other team or for not the other team, but for your teammates, because when they see that, they're going to feed off it and think, you know what, like, let's win this thing. You know, you're excited about taking the lead. Well, guess what? Yeah, I'm excited about taking the lead too, but I want to add more to this lead to make it comfortable for our pitching and our defense and have less stress. Zach Neto does it a little bit, but I don't see a lot of it, but he can bring it. I mean, I'm waiting. I mean, I've yet to see when he hits a home run, when he goes to the dugout or like when he rounds third and he looks in the dugout, points and like says, let's get it going. Mainly because he hits first inning home runs. But if he does that, if he hits a home run like the 7th or 8th inning, most likely we'll see it in a way of kind of like, hey, let's keep it going. Just keep adding on. And you need that, and we have it out of him.
Yeah, I think Zach Neto is a spark plug. That's the difference between O'Hoppe and Neto. I see O'Hoppe in the future being more of a Trout type leader, right? You know, because we have seen Trout get animated at times, right? You know, robbing a home run. You used to see him get excited for things like that. So I see O'Hoppe doing more of that. Neto gets a double, and he's doing that thing where he's like, "Ooh, stinky." You know what I mean? When I was at the game, he was doing that. You know, he did the Cerro Miedo when he hit the home run in the first inning a couple games ago. So, you know, Neto kind of brings that spark. And here's the thing, right? If you have 9 Zach Netos on a team where everyone's like that, you guys are probably going to see 98 miles an hour to the ribcage pretty often, right? Now, if it's 1 or 2 guys like that, okay, you know, pitchers get that, right? Tarek Skubal kind of admitted that, right? He took exception to Zach Neto pimping that home run or admiring that home run. He never really did pimp it. Because Zach Neto has fun, but I don't really think that Zach Neto showboats either, right? And pitchers know that. Anybody who's played baseball and given up a home run before. I've given up a home run before. I was not a pitcher. You know, little later was. But as I got older and higher up in levels, I was not a pitcher. I was an emergency pitcher because I played shortstop. So I remember somebody like cocked back because, you know, I used to just throw junk near the end like a normal position player. I must have thrown like a 63 mile an hour. I wouldn't even call it a fastball. It was more like of an east fist pitch. And it was a lefty. He just kind of squatted back like he was playing softball and just launched it. You know, there's a big difference between him going around the base and just kind of chuckling. I did take it personally, right? Because I just knew the guy was having fun. But when guys like Yasiel Puig were up there pimping doubles or pimping home runs and then it being loud flyouts, you as a pitcher take exception to that because there's a big difference between a guy having fun like Neto and a guy being disrespectful. So Neto does it the right way. He's having fun out there, and most players feed off the energy, and most players love the energy. And that's the reason why baseball attendance and baseball viewership has gone up the last like 5 years. Because now there's actually emotion in baseball, right? A lot of the young kids didn't like baseball, you know, 5, 6, 7 years ago because it was boring, right? Like I've always loved baseball, so I've never thought baseball was boring. But to the common person who's just trying to go to Angel Stadium to hang out at it's not the Budweiser porch anymore. What is it now, Vince?
Modelo.
The Modelo porch. They're just going out there to have a good time with their friend. You know, Vince goes there because he likes baseball. But not everyone who's going out there is going out there to watch baseball. They're going out there to have fun with their buddies. So now they can go to a game, still have fun with their buddies, and now there's more to see. So guys like Zach Neto are definitely part of this new generation of baseball players. And what's definitely going to be the next generation of players who have the flashier gear, who have a little bit more of a chip on their shoulder, because they're having a little bit more fun out there. But also, if you're a hitter, don't get offended when the pitcher, you know, pimps a strikeout on you.
Well, I also want to mention, too, I think the reason why baseball is going through that generation is because of the other 2 major sports we have in America is football and basketball. You watch football games, you know, back in the day, back in the 80s or the Barry Sanders or 80s and 90s with Dickerson and Sanders and or Barry Sanders, that is, when they scored a touchdown, they just gave the ball to the ref. They didn't do any touchdown dances. They didn't do spikes. They didn't do this. They didn't do that. They just said, hey, like they acted like they were there before. And that's and kids saw that and they fed off that and they continue to do that. But when University of Miami started doing all the dances and stuff in college football, then it started taking into effect. And then there was, of course, primetime, which was, some people say, was the godfather of flashy football. Could be other guys, but I think he might have kickstarted it. Maybe that's another hot take, but it's a different sport. Whatever. Anyway, and then with basketball, like Dikembe Mutombo, when you block a shot, wave the finger or wiggle the finger. And then also Steph Curry, when he drains threes, he does like the little ice in his veins and shows a three. And a lot of players feed off that, or just whatever. So I think with this generation of basketball and football, you see that a lot. You see the touchdown dances. You see the alley-oops and the dunk celebrations in basketball. Baseball never had that. The only thing that we have is bat flips and the trots around the bases, the unique trots around the bases. Fernando Tatis does that little back step when he gets before he touches third base. But there was a little bit of it in the 90s too. I mean, Sammy Sosa had a signature where he did the shuffle step before he got to when he rounded the bases. He did it, or his little hop when he knew he had a home run. That still gets me to this day. I can't believe there was actually a man out there who, once he made contact, knew he went yard and still hops. Whereas Yasiel Puig, who thought he went yard, would flip it and then, oh crap, I got to get to third base or second base because this is going to be a long single.
I used to love it when Sammy Sosa did it though, but I hated Yasiel Puig.
Yeah, so it still amazes me to this day that he did that. So, yeah, I believe the other sports are the reason why baseball is trending into that new generation of having fun and showing a little bit of emotion. Of course, Fernando Tatis is one guy. Bryce Harper was basically the guy to kickstart it and say, like, look, like this needs to come back because like nobody's going to watch because it's just so bland. It's such a bland sport. Don't get me wrong, he's right, but also too, it's a bland sport for people who are casual fans. That's the big difference. You and I, we're not casual fans. We're diehard fans. We've been fans ever since the day we had our first T-ball game, basically. And we know what goes on. We know how the game is played. We know it's a game of chess, not checkers. And that's why it's not boring to us and it's not bland to us because we know everything that's going on. But when a casual fan who I've never gone to a game, or like I know that there's a sports team, but I haven't experienced it, but maybe I want to. But then they see everything going on. It's like, oh, there's a reason why I like football and basketball because they do this when they score a touchdown. They do this when they hit a three. Baseball, it's like you hit a home run, you trot around the bases, go back to the dugout and go and wait for your next at bat. I get it. But you do that's when the whole talk I always say every week, baseball is a business. And how do you make business? You have to depend on the players to do their part. So if Zach Neto can continue that, hey, he is already the face right now, but he's even going to be a bigger face in Anaheim. There's going to be a lot more jerseys. There's going to be a lot more merchandise. There's going to be a lot more bobbleheads. I'm looking forward to it. And I wouldn't be surprised in the next year or so. I have two nephews. I've mentioned them before. I would not be surprised in the next few 2 to 3 years, they're going to start growing and they're going to come up to me and say, can you buy me a Neto t-shirt or a Neto jersey? Sure, whatever you want, buddy. Just let me know what size and I'll buy it.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. This is probably a topic for another episode. Just how bad the merchandising is around the stadium. When I went, I couldn't find anything Neto. You didn't find a Neto t-shirt, but they had Trout and Rendon jerseys. So I did see an Ohapi t-shirt. One Ohapi t-shirt in the main gift shop there. So that needs to get fixed too. I just assumed I was going to be able to find a Neto jersey, and I'm going to have to get on the internet. I have, so once again, topic for another day. Neto is definitely the next jersey I want to get. I just haven't gotten around to it just yet. I also have a ton of jerseys I never get to wear because I don't get to go to Angels games often. So Vince and I agree that right now where we sit, Zach Neto is the face of this franchise. But how do you guys feel? We got R. Raul saying we don't deserve to be called a franchise. Fast Times Under the Halo. Randy, I'll say this since I was wrong in my answer. Ask an Angels fan who they think of when they hear Angels and let me know the amount of Zach Neto answers that you get. Randy still believes it is Mike Trout. And yes, to a casual, it is going to be Mike Trout, but also to a casual, they probably can't name a single other Angel, right? James 313, Neto and O'Hoppy. Top shooter, Shada. It's Neto's team at this point. He's better than O'Hoppy by a lot at this point, and Trout never plays anymore. Loranki says currently. Hunter's telling us that that's not a hot take. Ryu, yeah, he is. Ace, definitely a tie between him and O'Hoppy. BB Bunny, it's a duo for sure. IH put indeed. STOM says him and O'Hoppy's are both the new faces. I said true. Nick Buck, definitely. Tyler Mugg, Squid will always be him. And finally, Mario from the Barrio, for sure. Move over, Trout. So there you have it. Like I said, folks, follow us on the social medias at Halos in the Infield so that you can participate in next week's Hot Take Hoedown question of the week. Follow, like, comment, subscribe, give us a 5-star review, tell your friends, follow us, follow Vince at Angels_Cowboy. Get on the Facebook group if you're not already on it. Make sure you tune in to our daily post-game shows. Todd does those after every single Angels game, win or lose. Make sure you check out the sponsors, as Vince said earlier. 714 Tickets. Use code HIDDY at checkout for 10% off all purchases. Even if it's your first, second, 100th purchase, does not matter. Use that code. You also get 5% back for future purchases. Guys, it's free money, right? Can't say no to that. Head on over to Brewheim. Mention Halos in Infield. Head on over to the OC Dugout for all of your memorabilia needs. And they're always doing autograph signings. As Vince said, Logan O'Hoppy is coming around the corner. So if you want to head over to that, head on over to the OC Dugout's website. They will take care of you for that. Vince, anything in closing, my friend?
Yes, if this weekend is a big weekend in Anaheim because the Savannah Bananas are coming to town. If you do get a chance to watch the game, if you got tickets, I'll be there for the Friday game. So obviously this show starts on Friday or airs on Friday, so I will see you there. If you're going Saturday, have fun. I will do my best to post some content and let you all know how it goes. But next week I will recap on the experience for sure.
Vince will be there. He'll be there on the field. So look for.
I would love to. Hey, I can line dance. So, I mean, I kind of want to send a request like, hey, I line dance and I can hit a baseball. Call me.
Hey, there you go. They do open tryouts. So there you go.
Yeah.
You need to have a talent, and that sounds like one of me. So there you go. Maybe Vince will be a Savannah Banana one day. Or, even better for the brand, a Texas Tailgater.
All right.
That's a new team they just started.
Okay.
So there you go. For anyone who's going over to experience Banana Land at Angel Stadium, you guys have a good time. Be safe. And in the meantime, go Angels. And y'all come back now. You hear?
From Anaheim down to the Texas plains, hot takes flying right